Hey guys, Lally here. In today's video, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about one of the fundamental and essential steps that you need to be taking in your business, and that is building an ideal client avatar. Now, I'll talk to you a little bit about what an ideal client avatar is in a moment and exactly why it's important. But if you follow this video all the way through till the end, you'll have an exact step-by-step framework that you can take to build an ideal client avatar. You will have also the tools and the tips as well to help you get there. These are tools and tips that my paid clients have actually used, that I've seen great results with, and I've actually put together and used myself, which have helped me go from zero in my business to building a 5-figure a month business. Now, this is a very, very important video. So whatever you're doing, just make sure you're paying attention to this, because honestly, it's one of these steps that I see people continually gloss over. And what do I mean by this? Well, an ideal client avatar is basically a document that you can keep on hand, or an idea in your head. I'd prefer you keep a document listing out exactly the traits of your typical customer, your ideal client. This is their personality traits, where they're usually hanging out, what their interests are, what keeps them awake at night, their fears, their hopes, their dreams. Once you have these things, it's very, very powerful to know about your customer, because it shows you exactly who you should be searching for in your business. And if you don't have an ideal client avatar, you basically might as well pick up a telephone book or a Yellow Pages, or go on Google and just search A and start searching there for clients, right? So this actually helps you get clients once you know your ideal client avatar. Now, my ideal client avatar is pages and pages long with tons of lines in it describing exactly who my ideal customer is. And I've learned this from basically speaking to an awful lot of people in my niche. So why is it so important to have an ideal client avatar? The reason why it's so important to have one is because if you're steering a ship, right, the ship being your business, you won't know what to aim for unless you've actually got a specific person that you want to target, right? I'm going to give you an example now about generalists, so people who have no client avatar, versus specialists, people who only deal with a particular type of client, and the pros and the cons of both. And this is something my mentor actually taught to me. So if we take a look at like the doctors in the world, the general practitioners, the local physician, your primary physician who you go to, right? When you've got a sore throat, or, when you've got something wrong with you. These people are generalists. They see tons of people every single day. They're often very stressed. They're often very, very overworked as well. For the type of work they do, they're probably quite underpaid, because they know everything about everything. But because they know everything about everything, they can't specialize in one thing. They're on the clock. They can't pick and choose the times when they want to work, right? And life's just pretty hard for them, right? And they often get, probably quite tough people, like a whole range of people to deal with throughout the entire day. And once they have acted as the barrier, right, to choosing where the patient needs to go, then they will often, either prescribe medicine or refer a person onto a specialist, right? Now, this is where it gets interesting. So say they referred someone onto a urologist or a brain surgeon. These people are specialized in what they do. They only see a particular group of people, right? And because of this, they see fewer patients. They're often paid a lot more salary. The patient often has to fit into their working environment and their calendar. The patient doesn't just turn up at the door, right? They have to book months in advance with this surgeon. There's often only a few in a state, or, only a few in a particular county if you're from England. This is the differences between the generalist and the specialist, right? One is having to try everything to get new clients because they don't know who their ideal client is. They often can't really scale with their business because they're already too full with trying to look in multiple different directions and learn multiple different parts, Whereas the specialist, they have to know in depth about one problem and solve one problem for many different people. And this is, if you build your ideal client avatar, this is what you should really be aiming for here. Now, most people actually avoid avoid creating an ideal client avatar. They often feel like they will make less money by keeping the door closed to many types of people, but only open it up to a select few. They often struggle with deciding who to pick as their ideal client avatar and as their ideal clients. And they often feel like they are marrying their ideal client avatar for the rest of their business life, which just isn't the case, right? And what we want to do when we're finding an ideal client and creating an ideal client avatar, we want to pick one person with one specific problem and use precision to find them, right? Rather than use like luck and try and guess what Joe Blogs down the street's problem is so we can see if he's interested in our service, right? It just doesn't make sense to do it that way. And when I talk to different business owners, I talk to two different types of business owners. I talk to the type that have glossed over the idea of finding an ideal client and just thought to themselves, you know what, it's not very important, I'll do that later. And they always have to come back in their journey and define their ideal client avatar, right? Or the other people who are like, I don't need an ideal client, I don't need to find a niche, I don't need to have things like this. And what happens with them is their business just fails straight down the line. So you definitely need this in place, and you need to know who you're looking for and who you are aiming for. Now, a great example of this is in 2015, I was trying to create a resume writing business. I was like, I've done pretty well with my career. You know, I know a lot more than most people when it comes to writing resumes and things like this. And I know like the tips and tricks and things like this. And so I was like, basically what I'm going to do is just open a resume writing business and offer it to anyone who wants their resumes done. You know, that would be just a really successful business. And that business just did not go very well, right? Because I didn't define who I was looking for. And because I didn't define who I was looking for, like I didn't really know where to look for these people, look for the people who needed a resume doing. You know, I was like, should I be targeting executives? Should I be targeting like, you know, people who are students? I just had no idea because I didn't do the research. So in this video, I'm going to talk to you about the tools, first of all, to actually finding and creating your ideal client avatar. And then I'm going to talk to you about validating your idea afterwards. And validating your idea is basically how you test your idea to see if it actually works in the market. Now, first of all, when we're trying to define our ideal client avatar, we want to be asking ourselves questions and determining what the most likely response is from there. So I've actually put together a client avatar sheet that I've personally used for myself to help me define client avatars. And this is just basically helping us narrow down and get on paper, or in this case, a Google Word document, exactly what it is our ideal client is interested in, what their hopes, their fears, their dreams are, and getting down a great idea about basically how they go about in their day-to-day lives. Now, this document here is going to be made available to you underneath this YouTube video which you're watching, and it's actually just in view mode at the moment if you click directly on the link, but to make this yours, you just click File up here, make a copy, and then it will make a copy for you in your own Google Drive and you'll be able to edit it there. So let's have a little look into some of these questions. When you're defining your ideal client avatar, you want to be asking, you know, are they male or female? Does it matter for your industry? How old are they? What professional or industry associations are they a part of? You know, are they career driven? Are they, you know, a manager? Are they a CEO? If so, write that down there. Write more about them. And I go through these questions, first of all, just by, in a way, kind of guessing in your head to the best of your knowledge, using an educated guess, what you think their problems are. And I'll show you how you can make this more powerful afterwards. So let's just read through these questions. What do they usually do for fun? We want to know how these guys let their hair down. That's very, very important to know how they relax, what they do for fun, what keeps them awake at night. We want to be asking this question to really determine what is a worry to them. What is one of their main problems, right? If one of their main problems, like the problem which actually keeps them awake at night, actually makes them stressed, actually makes them fearful, isn't something your business can solve, then they're probably not a very good client for you, right? if a person in the middle of winter, picture this, a person in the middle of winter had their boiler break down, their hot water boiler. It's freezing, they can't get a shower, they can't get a bath or anything, they can't wash the dishes or anything like that, and they're just cold. Is an electrician going to be able to solve that, or is it a plumber that's going to be able to solve it? It's going to be the plumber that's going to be able to solve it, because that will be their ideal client at that very moment, right? So we want to be making sure we have noted down what their problem is. And also, I just want to jump back up to age here. I didn't quite explain that well enough. But for age, like a person in their 20s to 30s or early 20s, or 25 to 35, are going to be experiencing very, very different challenges in their life and different problems in their life and different events in their life than a person in their 50s. So once we've got all these down, we want to start looking at what is stopping them from getting A to B. We know where they're at right now, and we know where they want to go. We want to know what their desire is, what their goals are, their biggest aspirations. But what is actually preventing them from getting from where they are right now and to get into that desired place? Is it the stress? Is it the fear? Or is it something that you can solve? For instance, like giving my industry as an example, I help specific type of business owners go from struggling to get business leads to getting business leads on a more predictable basis using a strategy. And the reason I do that is because usually the people I'm helping have been struggling for a while to basically get like a predictable flow of leads. So that is what is stopping them. They generally like pretty good at marketing, but they're missing a few steps. They don't know what they're missing at the moment, and that is what's really stopping them. Also describe what's their typical income level. If the income level is 0, right, because maybe they're not employed at the moment, they're probably not the ideal client, an ideal avatar that you should be chasing, right? Because they're not going to be able to pay you. And what is concerning them the most? What's their education level? Describe their personality. What's their main problem? What's their biggest aspiration? What do they want the most of? And all these questions are very, very, very important to note down. And the reason why they're so important to note down is because throughout this entire process, we want to be checking, are the people who we are trying to have as our ideal client, or our niche of people, do they, first of all, have the ability to pay us for the problem they want solving? Or do they have the desire to pay us to solve the problem, right? Because a person who, let's just say I'm a weight loss coach at the moment, if I'm a weight loss coach, right, and I'm trying to help a person who is overweight but has absolutely no desire to change, right? Because their friends are quite comfortable with who they are. They're quite comfortable with who they are. They don't have any problem with it. They're never going to pay me in a million years to be their weight loss coach, right? And the same for, a person who is perhaps in a lot of debt, or a person who doesn't have a job, right? They're not going to have the ability to pay me, even though they might have the desire to pay me to help them lose weight. That's how it really works there. And we want to be making sure we answer all these questions, in detail as possible. Now, once we have answered these questions, we've literally just got these answers from our head here. And actually, we want to be finding out what our market thinks like, right? So we want to actually start validating the information that we've put in here and see if it's actually accurate. And this is where the real magic comes in, because most people think, I know what my ideal client looks like. I've seen this thousands and thousands of times from the research I've done, from the data I've done. People do this. They're like, I know what my ideal client looks like. I don't need to define them at all. And usually what they think their ideal client wants is very different from what their actual ideal client wants. And what they think their ideal client is struggling from is different from what their actual ideal client is struggling from. A great example of this is I set out to help organizational psychologists actually get more clients. And after I chatted to 30 organizational psychologists, I realized that they don't have a problem at all with getting clients. They have a problem with the business owner of the business they're going into, actually listening to them and not just having it as like a box checking exercise, and actually getting real change. These guys are well sought after in their industry. Everyone wants an organizational psychologist, but it's actually encouraging the change. And because of that, I actually saved myself 6 months of time and didn't release a course on helping organizational psychologists get more clients, because that wasn't their problem at all. And I only found this out by actually asking them. So that is part 2, is we need to go and ask them, these people we've defined here, we need to go and ask them and say, hey, what makes you stressed? What keeps you awake at night? What's concerning you the most? Where do you want to get to? We don't want to be putting ideas in their head when we're doing this. Because if we put ideas in their head, people will often just agree with you. We want it to come from their mouths. And I've also got another sheet here, which is just an area for you to note down the person's hopes, the dreams, the fears and the pain points, and the barriers and the resistance as well. And we want to be noting these down when we are doing our research. Now, you can come to many different places to actually do this research. You can speak to people directly. You can do this research on Reddit. You can do it on Quora. You can ask actual questions there. You can look in places where your ideal clients might hang out. So for instance, on Reddit here, I've just pulled up a really quick slide for you. Reddit's a great place to learn about what people are struggling with. It's a great place because you don't have a profile picture, you're pretty anonymous, so people are less filtered when they are anonymous like that. And when I was trying to help people with careers, I actually went and did loads of research. This is after my resume business failed, and I found out what people actually care about in the job industry. And I went over to the jobs section of Reddit and saw all the topics there and saw the most highly rated topics. And some of these people were saying really, really great things that I actually put down in my ideal client avatar. So for instance, look at this topic here. So real talk, why are so many 30k to 40k per year jobs requiring a bachelor's degree? So they're kind of feeling like, why would a low paying job, this is like a belief, an angry thought that I'd be noting down, why is a low paid job actually requiring a degree, right? And then we have a look here as well. I've graduated with a degree, and that's kind of following society's norms. And then they've ended up working at Walmart. And this guy's like, same man, it's almost as if sites like Indeed are a complete waste of time. I had to sift through a lot of BS on Craigslist, but you'll only find opportunities once in a while. Now, let's have a look again. Who else is sick of having to create a profile online just to apply for a job you're probably never going to hear back? This is fantastic research, and this is all on Reddit, right? So this is a belief. And people are like, I'm sick of wasting my time trying to find a job because I'm probably never going to hear back from this black hole of doom that I'm submitting my resume application. And I actually remember when I was sending out resumes, I felt like this as well. So I would note this down in my client avatar worksheet here. What makes them stressed? Sending out resumes that they're never going to hear back from. I'd also put this in pain points here. What's their hopes, fears, and dreams? They want a better job. Their fears and pain points. They're sick of sending out resumes that they're never going to hear back from. The barriers and the resistance. What do they believe it is? Well, they probably believe, if we're just reading between the lines on what we've seen there, that the barriers and resistance are actually the resume not being good enough or something to do with the resume. They believe the resume is the key to the success there, even though it might not be. It might be like networking or something like this. But it's important that we note this down anyway and build out that ideal client avatar. Now let's just click across here. I'm going to show you now what my client avatar looked like, just a portion of it, when I was helping people get a better job. Let's just zoom into this right here. Hopes, fears, and dreams. Job that excites you to wake up for every morning. Fears and pain points. I don't have enough experience to get jobs. I know I'm supposed to network. I did all the stuff at college that I was supposed to do. I feel like giving a BS answer when an interview asks a question like, what's your biggest weakness? And there's all these bits and pieces here that I have actually pulled from real people's mouths when I've spoke to them. I've been like, what is it that you're actually struggling with? And they'll tell me in their own words, and then I'll sort of sum it up after I've heard enough people. And then I've got this from Reddit as well. And all this research and customer research
really helps build the ideal client avatar. So now I know the types of people I would be looking for. They're probably people in the 25 to 35-year-old age who are most likely to be feeling like this. They've got a degree. They feel like that should be enough to get them a good job, but it's not working, right? And you see how this is really crafting this person who is now my ideal client, right? And so what I would do is I would specifically go and find the areas where these people now hang out. And I would be positioning my client acquisition methods and my content as well in a way which would talk to their pain points here. It would talk to their hopes, fears, and dreams. It would talk to their barriers and resistance. And that is basically how you can then market to people, because you know everything about them, right? And this is exactly why crafting an ideal client avatar is so important. And these tools I'm actually going to give you as well.
So guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. Again, I'm going to be linking those resources right below the video. That includes the market questions you should be asking yourself to help you define your ideal client. Also the little table as well with the hopes, the fears, the dreams. These together, if you use these will be very powerful in you defining your ideal client avatar. And again, like I explained in the video, it further feeds into everything that you are doing when you are creating your business. Suddenly you'll know where to find these people. Suddenly you'll know how to market to them and exactly what to say with them, and it will help you with your sales calls as well. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. Please subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to build up this channel at the moment. If you want some training which will help you get leads through LinkedIn, I'll actually leave a little link in the first comment underneath this video for you to check out. It's completely free. A lot of people are getting great results with it. So I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Have a great one.